It is a fine Wednesday morning for a new show, a new theme, same topic, different level. This is the National Football League, bitches, and we're here to talk about the shitty life of a... Oh, no, I don't want to call my aunt. What the hell?
Unless she's a Browns fan, I mean.
Unless she's a Browns fan. She's not. She's not a Browns fan. But I pledge allegiance to the flag of the Cleveland Browns organization and to the fan base in which they swerve, one city, under God, indivisible, with liberty and losing for all. Amen.
Amen.
Welcome to the Cleveland Browns life. This is going to be a lot like when you go to therapy and you have to talk about all your problems. Pat and I, and Chris at times, are just going to talk about our problems. Life as a Browns fan.
It's miserable. But
it is a brutal existence, but here we are.
Here we are.
We would appreciate it if you would subscribe to the channel. We're trying to grow this second channel before we move on to a third channel, and then God knows what after that. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button, like the video, and comment down below. Scale of 1 to 10. How pissed will you be if Deshaun Watson is the quarterback, the planned quarterback for the 2025 season? Just 10 being, I will throw my stuffed dog from the dog pound on the field. Irately pissed. 1 meaning, I like a guy that gets jerked off by masseuses and can't play football.
Yeah.
That's my question for the chat. But Pat, how the hell are you? This is Pat, my co-host.
Good.
Yeah. He's over here, but he's actually over there. Throw back to back when Chris and I were on split screen. Pat, how the fuck are you?
I'm doing well. Excited to get this new platform up and running. It's funny. We have all this Browns banter on the side, and it'll be nice to actually vent and, have other Browns fans, commiserate with us and go through this suffering together.
Yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be fun. We don't have a plan. We're talking about doing it twice a week, 3 times a week. Eventually, hopefully, with your support, if you subscribe and like the videos and everything else, if it gets big enough, we have to go every day. That's the way it works. Demand drives our schedule. So if you want more content, you want more of this NFL content, subscribe and like the video. Share the video on social media. I don't know what the fuck else you got to do. That's it. Just trying to blow it up. 253 people already in here, though, for the first episode.
Hell yeah, we love that.
Ain't half bad. We'll take it.
Yeah, absolutely. Remember to retweet if you're on Twitter following along. And, keep liking, subscribing. Let's get those numbers up.
Let's get the numbers up. We got a lot of Browns football, NFL football to talk about, and we don't have an intro, so we're just going to play our regular one. Lukey, let them know what time it is, Bubba. It is. They need to level up. I think we have some freaks in Menace Army. I'm okay with that. Go watch the fucking film. But I appreciate you for riding with us, Menace Army. Menace out.
Menace Army! Let's get to the show!
Let's get to the show.
So we had a game on Sunday, Zach.
We did.
A big game. Some call it a super game, a Super Bowl. But the game actually pretty much was a complete letdown for most people, unless you're an Eagles fan. And if that's the case, then you were thrilled the entire time. But break it down. What were your thoughts? I mean, not much to break down, but figured we'd start off with the
shitty game.
Yeah.
Shitty game. I mean, it honestly made me feel better as a Browns fan, because as good as Pat Mahomes is, as good as Travis Kelce is catching the football, the fact that that was the AFC representation makes me think that the Browns, although they are a ways off, they're not as far off as I thought, because that offensive line for Kansas City's one of the worst offensive lines I've seen. I mean, and I watch college football on the regular. Like the Chiefs' offensive line should be so much better than any college offensive line I've ever watched. And in reality, they probably are. That Eagles front was ridiculous. But that Chiefs offensive line is terrible. And I'll double down. I had someone comment on our show on Monday that said, "That's it, I'm done. Zach officially doesn't know football. That's the last straw. Travis Kelce is elite." And I was like, let's think about this, Pat. Guy who coached 14 years in major college football, that just broke down all 22 film of the Chiefs and Travis Kelce. Who do you think knows more? Me with that preface, or some fucking guy watching on YouTube that has never seen the all 22 film.
I'm probably going to lean you in that scenario. Just
I call me a hater, call me what you want to call me. He stinks at everything except catching the football. Everything.
Yeah.
Like
and he didn't even catch the football when it mattered in the Super Bowl. He had
No.
2 drops in the first half that were costly at the time. And, by the second half, when he actually had a couple catches, the game was already out of hand. So
4 catches, 39 yards, and multiple drops in the Super Bowl. It was brutal. I mean, Xavier Worthy was the one bright spot on the whole team. I mean, their leading rusher that was not Pat Mahomes scrambling was Kareem Hunt. 3 carries, 9 yards.
Woo.
Like, that offensive line is such hot garbage. It gives me hope for the Browns. Like, if we can just piece together a quarterback and shore up a couple things on the offensive line and there's a number of things, right? Get a wide receiver 1. Like, there's so many things the Browns need. I get it. But the Chiefs need a lot too. They need a lot up front on offense. And then Jalen Hurts was cooking them. 221 yards passing, 72 yards rushing, just 2 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown. He was on fire, a monster.
Yeah. I'm not going to blame the Kansas City defense too much,
No.
just because they were on the field the entire game, it seemed like, because Kansas City's offense couldn't get anything moving. If you're the Chiefs moving forward, in this offseason, how do you get back to where they were with the chance for a three-peat, obviously, this year? How do they get back to their winning ways?
I think they need help on the offensive line. I mean, they're literally, their whole draft should be, I think they could use another receiver. I think Xavier Worthy is becoming, he's kind of lived up to what his role was, right? We watched him at Texas. He's an explosive as shit athlete, but not a typical, completely rounded wide receiver 1 in the NFL. I mean, Travis Kelce is good in the throw game. So, and I don't get me wrong, I think he's on the back half of his career. And Chris and I talked about it yesterday or 2 days ago. He's owed $17 million, and he ain't going anywhere because Taylor Swift is accounting for about $300 million of revenue for the Chiefs.
Yeah, you're not going to give that up.
No. And I don't think you want to. I mean, Travis Kelce is still one of the top 5, top 10 pass catchers that play tight end in the NFL. He just sucks in the run game. He's a flat pussy, complete pussy. Turns it down, shoulder blocks, all kinds of shit. So you can miss me with the I don't know football. I do know football, and I watch it. I watched it in all 22. You can go watch it on our website and see. I called him a pussy, I think 3 or 4 times, and the whole chat was saying that's why YouTube shut the stream down. The Swifties.
Oh, that's it. They got you.
Pfizer and Swifties shut me down because I
Yeah.
called Kelce a pussy too many times. Sorry, I keep it real.
So I was talking to one of the Chiefs fan I know, and obviously they have the 31st pick in the draft, and he's hoping that Josh Simmons falls back because of his injury, and that's an option for them at 31. Do you think Donovan Jackson is another option for them at 31 as well?
Absolutely. I mean, it'll depend on, Donovan Jackson and guards are weird because as valuable as you might think he is, it's gonna go into their intel, their spies, right? To see how valuable do other teams think he is, right? Because to take a guard in the first round, now don't get me wrong, I think he should go in the first round, and at 31, you'd absolutely love the Donovan Jackson pick. But a lot of times those top guards fall in the second round. Now, not that they'll fall to the second to last pick in the second round. So I think that'd be a great move for them, either Josh Simmons or Donovan Jackson.
If they're both available at 31, who are you taking?
But probably Josh Simmons, just because he's a true tackle.
Yep.
If you really look at like mock drafts and everything else, I think they need to start with a tackle. Josh Simmons right now is the second highest graded tackle on Pro Football Focus, ahead of Kelvin Banks Jr., who once was considered a lottery pick and still might be. But I think Josh Simmons, if you can get him at 31, that's a steal. That's a steal. I know he's coming back from injury. I still would take him. I mean, nowadays these ACL injuries are 9-month injuries, and people make full recoveries like that. Whereas 10 years ago, you'd be really concerned about it. But especially offensive line, throw a brace on it. He's good.
Absolutely. I mean, he was so dominant the first half of the year for Ohio State. I think it'd be a no-brainer for them. Now, looking forward to next year, Zach. Obviously, the Eagles are the favorites to repeat as the 2026 Super Bowl champions.
What a bold
600.
thing for Vegas to do.
Yeah.
Oh, no shit. The team that just won it might win it again?
Yeah. Crazy. But here, I'm going to read off some of the top odds, and I'm curious who you like. Just, quick look ahead early on. The Eagles, plus 600. Chiefs with the second best odds at plus 650, tied with the Ravens, also plus 650. Bills are plus 750. The Lions at plus 1,000. The 49ers at plus 1,500. The Bengals plus 1,800. I mean, a quick look for me. I know they completely choked in the playoffs, but they also had a lot of injuries on the defensive side of the ball last year. Detroit at plus 1,000.
I love it.
That's kind of where I'm leaning. Just quick.
I love it because they're young. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
From Penei Sewell to Aiden Hutchinson coming back from injury, Jamison Williams, Jahmyr Gibbs. They're a young football team that was so dominant during the regular season. Now, granted, if you really deep dive their schedule, I mean, turns out their division was dog shit. As much as we talked about Vikings, Lions, winner is the 1 seed. What a loaded division. Come to find out, that division was not as good as people thought. And then their schedule played in their favor. But I love Jared Goff. I love Dan Campbell. I love their culture. I love the fact that they're from a gritty-ass fucking city in Detroit, and they play like a gritty-ass team from Detroit. Like, I love everything about the Lions. So I love that. And I think the Bengals have it, and I know what they need. I know what they have. But I feel like Joe Burrow is going to kind of go the Dan Marino route if he doesn't get back into relevancy, into the Super Bowl contention. And I mean, everyone knows how I feel about Joe Burrow. I think he's a stud. I think he's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. I mean, he had the best year of any quarterback in the NFL. I mean, I would contend he's pushing to be QB1, especially after Pat Mahomes' abysmal performance in the Super Bowl. And not really his fault, but I think the Bengals are another one. But I did see the bottom of the barrel that you didn't bring up yet.
Oh, yeah.
The Browns have the 4th worst odds, not the first, second, or third, but the 4th worst odds to win the Super Bowl at plus 14,000. So you're telling me there's a chance?
Telling me there's a chance.
You're telling me I'll go full on Project Pat. Nah, it could happen.
It could happen. I'm just saying, if
It's more likely than the Raiders, Titans, or Giants winning the Super Bowl.
There it is.
There's the optimism, the silver lining.
There is.
I wish Chris were here. I miss you, Chris, because the Giants have the worst odds out of 32 teams to win the Super Bowl at plus 21,000, 7,000 more than the Browns.
You hate to see it. But I mean, listen, you know me, I'm a dying optimist. I'm going to put together some sort of future that involves the Browns Super Bowl because I'm delusional like that.
Can you bet futures on making the playoffs? Because that's a far better bet.
Oh, yeah, you definitely can. You know what? They don't have them open yet, but
that's what I'm saying. You just wait until that opens and bet them to make the playoffs. Yeah. A Browns Super Bowl is a complete donation to Sin City. True. Don't even think about that.
That's true. We'll ride with the playoff odds once they're there. Two other odds that I was looking at, both teams with young quarterbacks that both won playoff games this past year. The Commanders at plus 2,400 and the Texans at plus 2,900. Who do you like more in terms of the trajectory for both of those teams?
I like the Commanders just a little bit more. I mean, I think obviously CJ Stroud now has had 2 years. So you kind of are identifying he is one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. I hate to just dive all the way in on a player that has one great year. It's like a flash in the pan year. Too many times we've seen a rookie come in and have a great year, and that next year you're like, oh, he kind of came back to reality. And I love Jaden Daniels. I think he is an absolute stud. I said it in the draft process. I would take him over Caleb Williams 800 times out of 800. He was the best quarterback in the draft. Once again, I was right. Mel Kiper's bitch ass with his fucking stupid gay slick back was wrong. And I love Jaden Daniels. I just need to see it again. He's got to show me again so that I can stamp it, verify it, and say, yep, he's what I thought he was. But at the same time, I don't think the Texans have a receiver like Terry McLaurin. And it's important to have that wide receiver one. It really is, especially for a young quarterback. So I like the Commanders a little bit more than the Texans, but honestly, I would sprinkle a little on both. I could see either of those teams having that Bengals Joe Burrow in year 2 moment where all of a sudden you're like, holy shit, CJ Stroud's in the Super Bowl or Jaden Daniels is in the Super Bowl. I could absolutely see that happen.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it sound like for a while now that window for a lot of teams now is during that quarterback's rookie deal before you have to spend, max money to keep them. So I think both those teams are, like you said, worth a sprinkle for sure. Plus 2,400, plus 2,900. I'm obviously biased, hoping for CJ Stroud. I love I love what he's done so far and hoping for that. But Zach, you want to get a quick commercial? And
yeah, we're just gonna run some Menace to Sports commercials because we're not monetized yet, but you can help us get there. We got to get to 1,000 subscribers. When we get to 1,000 subscribers, we can add super chats segments at the end. And if you chat today, we'll put it up there just because it's the first episode and we love the Menace Army. So subscribe to the channel, like the video, share it to group chats, share it to social media, all that shit. And we appreciate you, Menace Army. We'll be right back after this. Oh, Menace Army, I hope you took my advice last week when I broke down in the NFL or in the coach's film room in a bourbon and ball. The Chiefs O-line was garbage. And I thought the Eagles were going to win. I didn't see how they would lose. And so I hope you went over to MyBookie and locked that bet in to build your bankroll because we got March Madness a couple weeks away. And we got to be buckled up, ready to go. Head over to MyBookie. They also have a thing called Risk-Free Thursdays. You place a bet. If it doesn't hit, MyBookie has your back. Dive into all the best bets to finish out this college football season. And if you use promo code MENACE on your first deposit, MyBookie will hook you up with an instant bonus because you deserve to start strong. If you missed out on the big game, on the Eagles' big win, go over to MyBookie right now. Use promo code MENACE to get free money and start building that bankroll for March Madness. I just want to share with you how I'm using my box from getabox.com. It's critical to get yourself a VPN, and we have the perfect company to do it. NordVPN. You can switch your virtual location, allowing you to save money by purchasing flights, hotels, and subscriptions from other countries at a cheaper price. You also can protect your private data like bank details, passwords, and online identity. It's the fastest VPN in the world. No buffering and lagging while streaming and stops your ISP bandwidth throttling. It's premium cybersecurity for the price of a cup of coffee per month. One NordVPN account can be used on up to 10 devices. To get the best discount off your NordVPN plan, go to nordvpn.com/menace. Our link will also give you 4 extra months on a 2-year plan. There's no risk with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. The link's in the podcast episode description box. Protect yourself. Go get you this VPN and lock it down. There you go, VPN. I'm new to the VPN world. For those of you that know, obviously we have a box. All of us have boxes, not like you're thinking. We all have dicks. But getabox.com if you want to watch every game. The Indians games, Reds games when they're blacked out. Don't pay $100 for one season. Go to getabox.com. Use promo code MENACE to get $25 off, and you get all the games, all the movies, everything you could ever want. No subscription service, no monthly reoccurring fee. It's a one-time fee. And now I got a VPN to protect myself.
There we go. You're all set for the season. One more quick little NFL note. Kellen Moore was just hired to be the Saints' next head coach. And this is a funny little note I saw. So his starting quarterback is Derek Carr. The two squared off in college where Kellen Moore and Boise State beat Derek Carr and Fresno State 57-7. Kellen Moore threw 254 yards and 3 touchdowns, and Derek Carr 17 of 30, 126 yards and a pick.
Can you imagine, if you had a time machine, if you could go back at halftime of that game and just walk in the locker room and go, "Hey, Kellen, come here. This quarterback you're dueling with, you're going to be his head coach in the NFL in fucking 15 years or whatever it is." Can you imagine what that kid would be like? Huh? I'm going to be a head coach in the NFL and that's going to be my starting quarterback? That guy sucks.
After you just outdueled him, beat him by 50 points.
50 points, and Derek Carr was abysmal. 126 yards passing and 1 interception. And I'd be sitting there hold up. I'm going to be coaching. So he's still playing and I'm already coaching? I'm way better than him.
Unbelievable. This can't have happened before in the NFL, right?
I can't imagine it did.
I can't imagine either. I know obviously there's a influx of young head coaches.
I'm sure at some point, Herm Edwards played against somebody, but two college quarterbacks dueling it off in college. And then one of them, I guess, I can't imagine this ever happened. No, to answer your question, I can't imagine it.
I can't imagine either. But anyway, let's get into some Browns news, Zach.
Yes.
Obviously, one of the main things going on in the Cleveland Browns world right now is the Myles Garrett saga. Mm-hmm. Myles Garrett requested a trade from the Browns after another abysmal season. Seems that the team doesn't really know in what direction they're moving forward with the quarterback position, with really anything right now. I want to ask you, what do you think Myles Garrett is worth on the trade market?
I think you have to get 2 firsts minimally, right? Probably with an additional some kind of third pick. And that can be via a great player in a first, but it needs to be 2 first-round value and then something else, a third option, whether it's 2 first-round picks and a third-round talent in the NFL, or maybe a premier player, a first-round pick, and a third-round pick. I think you need 3 picks. You have to maximize your value. And this trades saga, or request for a trade, is all highlighting what, in my opinion, is the biggest problem in Cleveland. The biggest problem in Cleveland is Andrew fucking Berry. It's always fuck Andrew Berry on this show because he's fucking terrible. And you just watch how bad he fucks this up. Like, this is a GM that has been the GM for a few years now, and his saving grace. Pat, what is the best move Andrew Berry's made? Probably Amari Cooper for a 5th round pick?
Amari Cooper. Yeah, that's probably it. I'm trying to think off the top of my head.
I mean, what move has he made? I mean, you're a diehard Browns fan. What move has Andrew Berry ever made that you go back and say, brilliant, brilliant, brilliant?
I mean, it feels like all of his draft picks have been either bust or have either requested a trade or been traded because they've been terrible.
I mean, you could go down the fucking list. 37 draft picks he's made. When they evaluate draft picks and were they like a valuable pick, 6 of his 37 picks were considered solid picks. 6. I mean, receiver Anthony Schwartz.
Oh, God.
Cade York and what, the 3rd round or something crazy? Perrion Winfrey. I mean, somebody, Jedrick Wills, 4th round tackle. Or no, I'm sorry.
1st round.
I'm sorry. 10th overall pick.
Yeah.
In 2020, he stinks.
And you know who went later, Zach?
Oh God, don't
Mekhi Becton,
of course
who was thought to be a bust with the Jets, and now he's a Super Bowl champion on the Eagles. So
imagine that.
Well, imagine that.
But I mean, there's so many. I mean, I was going through the list, and it just pissed me off. I mean, obviously, the biggest of the biggest is Captain Happy Ending, Captain Masturbation, Captain Sexual Assault himself, Deshaun fucking Watson. 200. What was the total?
230 million guaranteed.
See, it goes up every day in my head. I thought it was 320. $230 million guaranteed after getting rid of Baker Mayfield, who's hooping in Tampa. 3 first-round picks and $230 million all guaranteed for that scumbag piece of shit quarterback. And don't get me wrong, all the ejaculation aside, if he was a great player, I'd forgive it. I promise. I love football that much. I go back to Bill Burr and his stand-up. And like when Ray Rice hit his girlfriend and he was like, I'm not watching football to learn my moral code. He said, I would punt a baby across the room if it meant I could watch football on Sundays.
Yeah. I mean, every team deals with it. It's just, you forgive it. I mean, look, Jalen Carter with the Eagles, same thing. It's just like no one talks about how, his issues with, his teammates at Georgia and all that. I won't dive too much into it, but it's just like you forgive those kind of things when you're on the field and performing. And when you're not, it's optically then such a bad luck because then it just puts the fans in a tough spot where it's like, God damn, I got to root for this guy to be a shitty person and a shitty quarterback. It's
you're asking me to forgive the sexual assault because he's our quarterback. That's what you asked me to do by signing him, right? And then he went out and he was fucking terrible. I mean, I don't know that I could ignore it. I can't forgive it. I can't look past it, but I could ignore it if he's good. If he's not any good, that makes me even more pissed. Like, you're asking me to forgive a guy who sexually assaulted all these masseuses for this dog shit performance. Now, the one thing I will say about Andrew Berry, so he's made one since he became the GM, he's drafted 1 quarterback, and that was DTR in the 5th round, which I think that's a decent pick in the 5th round, right? Never really was drafted to be a franchise quarterback. You took a flyer in the preseason, his rookie year, looked like he might be way better than you thought. And then all
the hype was around him after that preseason.
Dude, you know how preseason is. Fucking, hey, you want to see a superstar, let somebody ball out in the preseason against a bunch of dudes that are never going to play in the NFL. I've said it 100 times. Balling out in the preseason means nothing. It's practice. We're talking about practice. It's just for experience. And balling out against 11 defensive players that are not going to play in the NFL is not some indication you're going to have success. But I would say that's a valuable pick 5th round, you kind of got what you wanted. This is hopefully going to be the first time he selects an actual quarterback for the franchise. And this is going to either be the nail in the coffin or buy him some time. Because if he fucks this pick up, it is sayonara, bitch. And I will host, Menace to Sports will host the parade if he fucks this pick up, the number 2 overall pick. And we'll host the parade when he gets fired.
What were they saying yesterday when when Matt Patricia was fired from Detroit? They had a mimosa party.
Yeah, we're not doing that. We're drinking fucking Busch Light.
We'll have a Busch Light party when Andrew.
Dude, we'll have a Busch Light party in the Mooney lot. Fuck
there
that.
It is.
We'll bring the kegs.
That's a great time.
Party is on. Menace to Sports. Free beer.
So
checking IDs though.
Yeah, of course. I want to go back to this Myles Garrett trade.
Yeah.
And I saw an interesting tweet from Adam Schefter. A potential trade comp that has, we can compare Myles Garrett to is when Khalil Mack was traded from the Raiders to Chicago. The Bears gave up 2 first-round picks, a 3rd-round pick, and a 6th-round pick for Khalil Mack, a 2nd-round pick, and a conditional 5th-round pick. Khalil Mack was 2 years younger than Myles Garrett is currently. He was 27 at that time. Myles Garrett is 29. But Myles Garrett also is coming off a 14-sack season. I would say he's still in his prime for at least another 2 years.
Yeah, but here's the thing. We put all these shelf lives on players. I know a guy named Joey Galloway that played 17 seasons in the NFL. Like, what matters is the type of person, and there's a little bit of luck to it, staying healthy, right? But if there was a player to have a longer prime than normal, Myles Garrett is that player. Not only because of just how big of a freak show he is, but he's also not a degenerate, right? Like, he is a smart kind of nerd, like a weirdo.
Like a gentle giant almost.
Yes, and he takes care of his body. Like, there's a reason why anytime he wears a cutoff shirt, he gets drug tested. Like, 1, he's a freak of nature. 2, he's a pro's pro. So we can say Myles Garrett has 2 years left in his prime. I would bet it's longer than that because he does it the right way. He's a JJ Watt type of player. Like, you're just like, oh, he's a pro. But yeah, let's say it's 2 years. I think that's an accurate snapshot of what a trade should look like if Cleveland's going to deal him. And I don't think Cleveland's going to deal him. They're like, we don't want to deal him.
I mean, the production hasn't fallen off even in the slightest. I mean, you look for his career, even starting in 2017, 7 sacks, then 15, 9, 14, 18, 18, 15, 14 this past year. I mean, it's been
stupid.
The model of consistency is ridiculous. But I agree. I think, I mean, it seems all reports now are that the Browns have no interest in trading him. I feel like there's just going to be some, I don't know. I feel like you have to, because the Browns are in the spot where they are, if they can they should be fielding offers as it is. If you can get a package like what Chicago gave up, 2 first rounds minimally, like you said earlier, I would like to get a player, an impact player that, helps lessen the blow a little bit. I know there's been rumors of Micah Parsons and Dallas, but I think a lot of that would require the Browns to give up the number 2 overall pick. And for that, I don't think it's worth it.
No, absolutely not.
But anyway, I just think, are there any other, I want to pivot to this. Are there any other players on the team that you think are worth moving aside from Myles Garrett in terms of getting the Browns in a better position for next year or for the future, really?
When you talk about moving, you need to get value. And who do they have of value that can really move the needle? Like, on offense, you're not getting rid of Deshaun Watson. I wish. Nick Chubb, coming off of all the injuries, I don't think you're going to get near what you could get, considering he's kind of a freak of nature and could give you similar production even after having 85 knee injuries. Yeah. I don't think you're going to get much out of him. Jerry Jeudy is a wide receiver 2 or 3 that's getting masked as a wide receiver 1. Njoku's maybe the one on offense that you could get something out of, but I don't want to get rid of him. And I mean, you don't want to build an offense around a tight end, but look at what Kansas City's has done with Travis Kelce.
Oh yeah.
Like, if you think about it, the 2 guys you don't want to get rid of are the running back and tight end if you're going rookie quarterback. Those are the quarterback's best friends. Like, you get rid of Njoku and Chubb or Jerome Ford or something, and all of a sudden you're like, no, he's got nothing.
Yeah.
And it's one thing if they go get a receiver that, like, we watched Malik Neighbors. How much did he help Daniel Jones? It's like, yeah, he's a great player, but you need those critical pieces. If you want to do it right, they better get the quarterback pick right. beef up the offensive line, and then go get a star playmaker on offense. That's what they need offensively. I mean, Myles is the one on defense. I mean, JOK, you'd hate to lose him, but he's a guy that you probably could get significant capital for.
I'm going to throw this up. Denzel Ward is what Elkins has to
Yeah,
say.
I mean, Denzel's an interesting case study because certainly healthy, Denzel Ward will garnish all kinds of capital, but he can't seem to stay healthy. I mean,
he's had 5 concussions now, I think.
It's just, I love Denzel. Like, one of my favorite players that I was around as a football coach was Denzel Ward. Like, smile on his face, great kid, great infectious personality, phenomenal player, ridiculous athlete. But you have that many concussions and the soft tissue injuries. It wouldn't be a bad idea to trade him, but will teams really give you a lot for him with that history?
I don't think you're going to get much for him. It's same thing with Chubb. It's like, yes, and if this was 2-3 years ago, could have gotten a king's ransom for either of them, but because of the way their careers have played out in the last few years, it's just not happening. But Zach, I want to get another quick word, and we'll continue this talk after.
That sounds good. Go Browns! Comment. It's a new show, so please subscribe, like the video, and comment down below. What quarterback do you want in this draft? If they go quarterback at the second pick, who do you want? Perfect world. Don't even worry about who goes number 1 overall. If you could pick any quarterback in this draft, and it could be trade down for a different quarterback, maybe go get Will Howard in the second. If you could have any quarterback in Cleveland, who would it be? That's my question in the chat. We'll be right back after this. As a former athlete and part of this menace transformation, I'm paying attention to what I put in my body, especially when it comes to protein. And this podcast is sponsored by Orgain. Orgain believes real nutrition has the power to make a real difference in people's lives. Their new 30-gram complete protein shake offers protein-packed real nutrition designed to satisfy your cravings without any added sugar. Plus, they're an excellent source of premium, ultra-filtered protein with all 9 essential amino acids. Orgain's products are handcrafted with high-quality ingredients that makes it taste like heaven. I had one this morning. It kicks my day off every morning and gets me started with a proper amount of protein to get going. Remember, there's no quick fixes when it comes to your health. If you want more protein, give Orgain 30-gram protein shakes a try. Head to Orgain.com/menace30 and use code menace30 for 30% off your order. That's the best offer you'll find, but you have to use my code menace30 for 30% off. For 30% off, head to Orgain.com/menace30. Use my code menace30 and get a discount. And take control of your protein intake. There you go.
There it is. So if the Browns are to move Myles Garrett and they can't get kind of like a signature piece in return that kind of helps them win now, do you consider just blowing it all up and starting a full rebuild?
Yeah, I mean, I think this Myles Garrett will trade, if it happens, if they even entertain it, which it sounds like they might not, will tell us everything we need to know about Andrew Berry and what his, I guess, I don't want to say plan, because he's been acting out his plan and it's been a fucking disaster, but maybe his job-saving strategy is, because that's the problem here, right? You go full fire sale. Andrew Berry's getting fired. Like, he can't go full fire sale in year whatever, 3 or whatever year it is. This is like put up or shut up time for this motherfucker. So if you're going to trade Myles Garrett was the most productive pass rusher in the NFL last season, right? He had the highest pass rush grade. He had the most pass rush productivity. The second best pass rusher was Micah Parsons. So if you make a trade with Dallas and get Micah Parsons with capital, you're saying, all right, we just traded the best pass rusher for the second best pass rusher and got capital, right? That would tell me it's not a fire sale. Now, if he goes out and just gets capital, he's kind of putting himself in the guillotine and saying, fuck it, this is what the team needs. I won't be here for it. Guys, have a good run.
The sacrificial lamb.
And I could respect that. I think it's probably time to go full fire sale. I mean, there's so many pieces away. So many. I mean, they need a ton of offensive line help. They need receiver play. They need a quarterback. I love Nick Chubb. I like Jerome Ford. Don't need a running back, but it wouldn't hurt. On defense, you need it. Fucking everything. The safety play. I mean, we're talking about Grant Delpit and Ronnie Hickman are listed starters right now. Throw me off a fucking cliff.
Yeah. And I mean, this offensive line is nowhere to what it used to be.
I would replace all 5.
Yeah.
I'm going through it. Jack Conklin, give me somebody different.
He's
Wyatt
washed.
Teller, somebody different. Ethan Posick, want a different center. Batonio, fuck me.
Yeah, I mean, the Browns were 30th in the league last year in run blocking PFF grade, and they were 27th in pass blocking PFF grade. So it's like there was nothing going on the offensive line. I know Joel Batonio has said that he would want out if the Browns do decide to trade.
Let
Myles
him
Garrett.
go. Sayonara, bitch. Like, I don't want any of those 5 back. Give me a whole new offensive line.
Oh, man. All right. Well, moving on to the draft. I want to ask you, is there any certain prospect that you're absolutely in love with at the number 2 spot? Are you kind of torn between a couple guys? What are your thoughts?
I think they need to go quarterback. And I would love Shedeur Sanders. I think he's the best quarterback in the draft. Cam Ward makes me nervous. But I think you take a flyer on him. And I can't even call it a flyer. This is what, the 500th quarterback they've taken in the top 5 since they came back in 99. But I think Cam Ward could give you, if you think about it, right? A guy like Will Howard. I would love to see Will Howard in Cleveland in the 2nd or 3rd round. I would love that. I think he has a chance to be a solid-ass NFL quarterback. But with everything we just said, who are the guys, what type of quarterback could have Jaden Daniels' success early? And that is an athletic quarterback. We just talked about a shitty offensive line, and Will Howard's a good athlete also.
But you also figure, I mean, one of the things that, pulls me to drafting Shedeur Sanders is that he dealt with a shitty offensive line in Colorado for the last 2 years. So if there's anyone that knows how to play under those sort of circumstances, it would be him. But then my other concern is that, all right, like you just said, you listed so many needs that the Browns have right now that it almost makes me want to, all right, like what we did when we drafted Myles Garrett in the first place back in 2017. Maybe someone like Abdul Carter makes sense. I mean, there's really no one on the offense. There's no real offensive line prospect that you're taking it to. So then I'm like, all right, do you trade back? Because I just don't know. As much as I want to believe that Shedeur Sanders is going to thrive in Cleveland, there's so much unknown around him right now that I don't know if it's possible.
I just don't know when you need so much, unless you have a fucking guy that you're like, this guy is guaranteed to be our franchise. Like, we're watching him, and this is fucking, I mean, this is a no-brainer. This is Joe Burrow, like, for sure a franchise quarterback. Unless you have that, you need capital. You need players, lots of them. So if I was the GM, and I'm going to start this fucking motion right now, I want to be the only job in football I'll take is Browns GM job. I'm not coaching shit. But if I could get the Browns GM job, I'll flip that franchise around. Trade back, get capital, fix the offensive line, like go get you a safety, an elite safety, go get a corner. I mean, I like Denzel, but he's hurt a lot. Mm-hmm. Grant Newsome, meh. Martin Emerson, are you kidding? Like, Emerson
was trash this past year. I'm not even gonna lie.
He's a starting corner on their depth chart right now.
Yeah.
I mean, their secondary, they're starting secondary. Denzel, if healthy, love it. Grant Newsome, I like him. I think he's a good player. Not elite, but a good player. Ronnie Hickman, Grant Delpit, Martin Emerson Jr. Like, they need help everywhere. I don't, unless you have a franchise quarterback that you just have so much conviction is going to be a stud, I don't think you can go quarterback.
Yeah.
I think you've got to get capital.
I agree. I think that's where I'm leaning mostly right now. And I mean, like we talked about, there's guys that I think will fall to late first, early second. A guy like Will Howard, a guy like maybe, I mean, it depends on how the silly season goes, but a guy like Jackson Dart, like where do you view him going right now? Do you think that's a guy that could be in play for the Browns to draft later on, like early second round?
I think it could. And I just asked AI while you were talking. AI told me in order the 4 things the Browns need. No big deal. Just 4 minimal things. Number 1 is downfield coverage. They need help with downfield coverage outside of Denzel Ward. Yeah. Glad to know AI and I are on the same side of that.
Browns were 29th in coverage grade, according to PFF.
Yeah, that's not very good. Then second, they need a wide receiver play. They need a dynamic wide receiver to be their number 1 player. Wide receiver 1. I agree. Offensive tackle. Please, God. Go get a Josh Simmons early in the 2nd round. Like, go get a tackle for the love of God. And then quarterback, obviously. It says the Browns could add a rookie quarterback. Like, yeah, I hope.
Oh, they could. They definitely could. I'll throw this up here. Callan, they have too many missing pieces to warrant taking a QB at 2, in my opinion. If Abdul Carter's there at 2, you take him. If not, you trade down for more capital. Then I take Dart or Howard in the second if there.
I agree. Now, I don't know. I don't know that I'm spending the second overall pick on anything if it's not a quarterback. And I think Abdul Carter's a freak, but like we've seen, Myles Garrett was drafted in 2017. That was 7 seasons ago. They haven't done shit. They made the playoffs one time. It's like, is that going to answer anything? Now, it'd be nice if they were like the Texans and had 2 top 5 picks and you could get Abdul Carter and Shador.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just, I can't justify taking anyone at 2 unless he's just their opinion, their franchise quarterback, which I don't put a lot of value in them saying that's our franchise quarterback.
Yeah. Circling back, I want to circle back to Shador real quick. He confirmed, it was posted on online yesterday on the timeline, that his first official visit with an NFL team will be the Cleveland Browns. I know there was the whole narrative that Dion wasn't going to allow him to play in Cleveland. Do you buy that narrative at all?
No.
All right.
No, I don't. I don't think he has a choice. I think the Browns are one of those gray area teams for Dion. Where like one of those really shitty places, he might say absolutely not. But the Browns are like, it's bad, but I feel like that wouldn't be terrible. I mean, I went to NBC Sports mock draft that just came out. Let's see, when was it? February 11th. So that was yesterday. Mm-hmm. They have Cam Ward going 1 overall to the Titans, Abdul Carter going 2 overall to the Browns, and Shador going to New York to join Chris.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
Travis Hunter at 4, Mason Graham at 5, Will Johnson at 6.
So you don't think they should take Abdul Carter ahead of Shador in that case?
No, absolutely not. I don't think they're in a situation roster-wise to take anybody in the top 5 other than a quarterback.
Yeah.
If you don't love Shador Sanders at 2 or Cam Ward at 2, trade the fuck back. Fall back. Get more players.
I think I agree. I think I'm at the point where I would take, if they're dead set on taking a QB at 2, I think it has to be Shador. I don't love Cam Ward at 2 just because I feel like we've seen it now the last 2 drafts with, guys kind of emulating. I know we've talked about it. The guys kind of emulating the Patrick Mahomes style of play in college and how teams can fall in love with that. And I think Cam Ward resembles more so that style of play than Shador Sanders. So I would kind of advise the Browns to stay away from that because they have so much unknown surrounding the team right now. Yeah. I think Shador is a safer pick, but I
keep going back to it. And this is Chris's big hot take. I think Jackson Dart is the one. As long as the league is not seeing what I've seen on film, which they tend to not, if he's a second round pick, please God, take him early in the second. I mean, he led college football last year in passing grade, yards per attempt. He completed 78% adjusted completion percentage. He averaged 10.7 yards per attempt, 29 touchdowns and 6 picks. I just think Jackson Dart is the diamond in the rough here. And the next 2 quarterbacks on the board are on PFF's passer rating. It's Jackson Dart 1, Cam Ward 2, Shador Sanders 3. I think Jackson Dart is a steal in the second round. Now, he might not last, and that's a risk you're going to take if you're the Browns. But I would say the percentage chance that Cam Ward or Shador is a bust is greater than the odds that Jackson Dart is not there when you pick in the second round.
Yeah, I feel like Jackson Dart is the type of player that is going to slide up the board a little bit. I'm not sure he's going to be there at the start of the second round. And if that's the case, do you trade back into the first round to take him later in the first if you don't think he's going to be there at the beginning of the second?
I do. I think even if you're getting your feelers out there and people are saying, oh, he's a late first round pick, I think you trade back and get him at 15, get him at 18. I mean, Pro Football Focus, one of my favorite stats they have is they track big time throws, right? And that is a pass with excellent ball location and timing, generally thrown further down the field and or into a tighter window. Meaning your receiver's covered, you throw it on time with pinpoint accuracy and in a tight window. Jackson Dart led the country at 7.1% of his throws were big time throws, as they call them. That's my one. That's my That's my unicorn in this draft. And I got a feeling other NFL teams will feel that way. So yes, I think if you have any inkling of doubt that whoever's there at 2, whoever doesn't go 1 overall, you got to trade back and get Jackson Dart. And I think the wild card here is Travis Hunter. What is Travis Hunter?
Ooh.
What do people view Travis Hunter as? Is he Denzel Ward's replacement? Is he another corner opposite Denzel Ward when Denzel's healthy? Or is he truly a two-way player in the NFL? Because we just said they need 2 fucking things. The top 2 things, downfield coverage, wide receiver 1. If you really think Travis Hunter can do both in the NFL, which I still have a ton of doubt, he might be the pick at 2.
Honestly, I wouldn't hate that. And it's funny because I honestly keep forgetting about him. I've been so focused on either Abdul Carter or a quarterback that I would definitely entertain that idea. Especially now, I feel like if they, depending on what they do with the Myles Garrett situation, they're able to acquire a couple more first-round picks, that would be an interesting scenario to play with there. You take him at 2, and if you get another first-round pick in that 15 to 20 range, then you go after Dart. But let's get one more commercial break.
One more. We're going to go an hour long today. Figure a nice hour to start out this new show. We appreciate you for tuning in. 766 people in here. Like the video. If you're watching on Twitter, retweet it, quote tweet it, and let's get people over here. We need to get subscriptions. We got to get to 1,000 subscriptions. So go hit that subscribe button, like the video, and my question for the chat, who do you want? And that number, now we'll change it a little bit. Who do you want at number 2 overall? If it's not a quarterback, who would you be okay with Cleveland drafting? Not moving, staying at 2. They don't take a quarterback. What player are you okay with that being? Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter, who would it be? What player would you be fine with? We'll be right back after this. Take control of your finances, Menace Army. We use Rocket Money. I used it. Justine used it. It's a great financial tool. It's a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills so you can grow your savings. I saved over $100 a month. That's almost $2,000 saved a year. And Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all the app's premium features. It's a must get. Cancel those trials that ended, and all of a sudden you're paying a monthly subscription you forgot about or don't know about. Cancel those unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/menace today. That's rocketmoney.com/menace. rocketmoney.com/menace. While we're talking about financial health and your financial wellness, a big piece of that is credit. And for those of you that are kind of unfamiliar, maybe you had a rough credit time with your credit in your 20s and you're trying to build it back, a huge piece of credit, your credit score, is debt to credit ratio. And what Kickoff does is, for a low monthly fee, mimics on-time payments, which makes your credit shoot up. It increases your debt to credit ratio, or decreases your debt to credit ratio, and it's phenomenal. I use it. Justine uses it. Both of our scores have went up dramatically, and it's why Kickoff's the number 1 credit building app out there. It has over 100,000 positive reviews on the App Store, and 98% of them are 5 stars. Building credit can happen faster than you expect with Kickoff. Don't wait. Get your first month for just $1 at getkickoff.com. There's no C. KIKOFF.com/menace. You get 80% off of getkickoff.com/menace. Must sign up via getkickoff.com/menace to activate offer. Offer applies to new customers first month only. Subject to approval. Offer subject to change. Terms and conditions may apply. Point stat based on Equifax VantageScore 3.0 changes for Kickoff users starting under 600 who made their first on-time payment between January 2021 and March 2024. Payment and credit activity outside Kickoff can have an impact on your credit. Individual results may vary. There you go. Individual results may vary.
There we go. All right. So I want to do a little discussion here regarding the quarterbacks for the Browns and some potential options heading into next season. I'm going to give you 7 quarterbacks here, Zach. I want you to rank them in terms of who you would want to start from the Browns from the most to the least. 2 of these guys, current NFL quarterbacks, and then 5 rookies. But Sam Darnold, Kirk Cousins, Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, Jackson Dart, Will Howard, and Jalen Milroe.
Oh, you got rid of Deshaun, huh?
I did. Well, you know what? He was going to be last.
He was going to be last.
I was going to say he was going to be last.
Oh, Will Howard. So Jalen Milroe's last. I can tell you that much.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm going to lean. I think because they need pieces, they need to trade out of 2, go get you Sam Darnold, Kirk Cousins, someone like that, just to bridge a gap. And I know we've talked about bridging gaps every fucking year since Deshaun Watson came to save the Browns. But I don't think they're in a position where they need to draft a franchise quarterback. Now, that being said, if they can get Jackson Dart in the second round, he'd be number one. As long as they can get him, trade back out of 2 and still get him with their second round pick. I don't want them drafting him in the first round. There's too many pieces they need and too many valuable players they can get at 18, at 20. So I think my dream scenario is Jackson Dart with their already established second round pick. That would be phenomenal. If not that, then I'll take Sam Darnold or Kirk Cousins. And then after that, I would probably go Shedeur, Cam Ward, Will Howard, and then Jalen Milroe last.
Yeah, I can't say I disagree too much with that. Exactly with what you're saying. If you can get either Sam Darnold or Kirk Cousins, and kind of build some draft capital as well, I think it's the way to go. I mean, honestly, the way Sam Darnold played last year, I mean, I get that he had Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison and TJ Hockenson, obviously a lot better weapons in Minnesota, but he looked like the top 5 pick that everyone anticipated he was going to be coming out of college. If he could replicate those numbers with the Browns, I mean, oh my God, maybe, I don't know. Do you even think about signing him to like a 3-year deal?
I mean, Pat, is Sam Darnold going to have the same supporting cast in Cleveland that he had in Minnesota?
He's not.
I don't see Justin Jefferson anywhere fucking within 100-mile radius of Cleveland. You got to go a little bit further to Cincinnati to find somebody close to him.
Yeah.
I think those guys are going to bridge a gap. And honestly, what is your goal? What is your end game? To win some games? I mean, they're not going to make a playoff run with either quarterback. So now you're just going to win games to get lesser draft value? Fuck that. Yeah. I actually would change my opinion. I'd rather Deshaun Watson run out there again if they don't go quarterback with the number 2 overall pick to get us the best pick possible next year. I mean, I know it's awfully early. The Super Bowl was 3 days ago. Awfully early to already be like tanking, but they need so much that I'm perfectly fine with losing one more year if they make the right moves. And that's what it is, right? When we come out of this draft, I want to be able to say A+ draft. They got a ton of pieces that are going to contribute and hopefully be what, cornerstones of this foundation. One more bad year, we add 4 more great pieces. You're talking 8 new players. If they make the right selections, now we got a chance. But you also have to look forward to next year's draft class. Who you drafted? Like who's the elite quarterback next year? Is it a guy like Nico? Like who's that guy?
Yeah, I mean, it's either going to be
Garrett fucking Nussmeier? No thanks. Carson Beck? Absolutely not. Like who is that franchise quarterback in next year's draft class? And I talk about this a ton. When you evaluate, you have the number 2 overall pick. You as a GM are evaluating, should we go franchise? We need a franchise quarterback. Should we go franchise quarterback here? You don't just evaluate this quarterback class. You evaluate the next one too. Because if you fall in love with a guy or a couple guys in the next one, you evaluate the class, you say, damn, I think we have a better chance of not going quarterback in this draft, getting the number 1 overall pick, and drafting Joe Burrow. Then that's a decision you absolutely make.
I mean, a couple other guys. I mean, Arch Manning, Drew Aller, either of those guys, do it for you for the 2026 draft.
I got Arch Manning. I got to see him play.
Yeah.
Drew Aller, I like Drew Aller's arm talent, but he's not very consistent. He makes a bunch of bonehead fucking plays. I mean, I'm not sold on any quarterback in that draft class at all. None. Where every other year, I mean, whether it was false bravado or not, going into this last season, a lot of people felt great about Quinn Ewers and Carson Beck, and, speaks to the other side of this conversation. They both were not what they were supposed to be, but I don't know who that is.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to throw this up here. Will Howard is who Chris wants as the next Browns quarterback, but as a lifelong Browns fan, I feel bad doing that to Will. I totally agree with that.
Yeah, I kind of do too.
I think Will's a good kid. And I honestly, there's a part of me that I feel like him in the second round with his attitude, his demeanor, the way he plays the game, I think he could be the type of person to, to make it work in Cleveland with all things considered right now with a bad offensive line. Doesn't have great weapons around him. But, I mean, if we saw the Will Howard that we saw the last 4 games of the college football season.
Dude, he looked like an NFL quarterback. He really did. And he would be a better option to me than Sam Darnold or Kirk Cousins because he's going to be a rookie. He's going to be young. He's same thing to me. Like, what is the difference between Will Howard and Kirk Cousins? That's honestly a great comp for him.
Will Howard's a little more mobile, I guess.
Yeah, he's a little more mobile, but throwing the football, he's same thing. Yeah. Like, I'll take Will Howard right now, especially knowing that he got 1 real year of quarterback development, and the learning curve was very evident. Like, you could see him get better, and I mean markedly better during the year this year. Imagine if he can have the same type of level up once he gets to the NFL. I think Will Howard and Jackson Dart, not to be racist, but those are 2 that I think are perfect for Cleveland. But I do like Cam Ward also, and I like Shedeur. So
whoever we draft as Browns fans,
well,
we're gonna talk ourselves into saying he's the guy anyway.
I mean, I have PTSD at this point. I'm gonna fall in love with whatever quarterback they take because I'm like, fuck yeah, no more Deshaun Watson.
I talked myself into Brandon Weeden, Johnny Manziel, Deshaun Kaiser.
A couple of those I did not talk myself into.
I talked myself into all of them. I guess before we go, do you want to end the show with a prospect review? Talk about maybe a little Abdul Carter.
Yeah, I mean,
what you think he could bring to the Browns if he is the choice at number 2 next year.
I mean, Abdul Carter to me is a lot like Micah Parsons. He's that outside linebacker D-end hybrid that is an elite pass rusher. Had the highest pass rush grade in college football last year, all levels. I mean, Power 5, Group of 5, doesn't matter. I think he's an elite pass rusher, and I don't know that he has the size. I mean, you think about the best DNs in the NFL. Abdul Carter's slightly smaller than almost all of them, right? And I mean, I just had the list up. You had Micah Parsons, Myles Garrett, the kid at who's the kid at Cincinnati? Fuck.
Oh, Trey Hendrickson.
Nick Bosa. Those guys are bull rush and speed rushers. Abdul Carter is a twitched up. He's Micah Parsons. He's a lot like Micah Parsons. So I think he's absolutely deserving of being talked about at number 2. I just don't see the Browns blowing that capital on a defensive end. We watched that for 7 years. They did it. Myles Garrett's the best defensive end in the NFL. Whoopity fucking do. Every now and then we get a sack. That's all we get. We don't get playoff wins. We don't get success.
Now we got 1 playoff win.
1 playoff win in 7 fucking years, Pat.
No, I agree. I think at that point you're better off just trading out of it if you're not sold on either quarterback. But yeah, I mean, that's all we got for today, Zach.
I love it. Nice little hour show for you. Little Pound Town. If you're watching on Twitter, please go over to YouTube. It's just youtube.com/@MenacePoundTown. Subscribe to the channel so we can try to blow this up. Got to get to 1,000 subscribers. When we do, things will pivot. Things will grow. Things will expand. But we appreciate you for pulling up, Menace Army, as always. We'll see you live at noon. Tune back in at noon. We're coming back. And I'm going to trade Pat for Chris because it's Black History Month. Got to bring Chris back. We'll see you live at noon. Menace, out.